Hey guys, it's me again, and I'm back with a new video. So, pressure grows for masks in England schools. The government is under pressure to change its guidance against using face masks in schools in England. Head teachers want an urgent review of advice over face coverings in school and said if there's a U-turn, it should be sooner rather than later. Prime Minister Boris Johnson said depending on the medical advice, if we need to change the advice, then of course we will. In Scotland, Scottish secondary school pupils will have to wear face coverings in corridors, common areas and school buses from next Monday. There will be no requirement to wear face coverings in classrooms where distancing meetings are in place. Secondary school pupils in Scotland will have to wear face coverings between lessons from the 31st of August. It's the latest change to the rules on face masks and coverings in England, in the UK. Up till now, the use of face coverings in schools has been voluntary. However, some schools have started asking staff and pupils to wear them to help stop the spread of COVID-19. The Scottish Government now says that all pupils over the age of 12 should wear them in corridors and common areas. On school buses, everyone over the age of 5 will have to wear face coverings. They will not have to wear them in classrooms. Also, pupils should wear masks in secondary schools. England's Deputy Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Jenny Harry, said the evidence is not strong. Prime Minister Boris Johnson said on Tuesday, depending on the medical advice, if we need to change the advice, and of course we will. Coverings set to be encouraged. And social distancing. It's not possible. That are generally not recommended for routine use. Follows the announcement that pupils could go back to school in September. All pupils will return. Time Northern Ireland. Previous social distancing measures between pupils will be relaxed. However, schools will still be required to keep most pupils in whole class bubbles to limit mixing. Many pupils are set to be taught in small groups, pods or bubbles. Schools reopen in Northern Ireland. Children will remain in the same small classes every day they are in school to reduce mixing of others. School holidays could be altered later in the 2020-21 academic year to ensure contractual agreements if teachers are not broken if schools open for some pupils on 17th August. Schools in Northern Ireland was closed in March due to the coronavirus pandemic. Pupils going into years 7, 12 and 14 are to return to school on the 24th of August, with all other pupils returning from the 31st of August. Strict social distancing requirements between all pupils will be relaxed. That's social distancing. Return whole class bubbles will be required for most pupils to limit mixing. And pupils need to move between classrooms depending on what subjects they are studying. No requirement for pupils to follow guidance for distancing on school transport. While parents and children should be encouraged to use other means, travelling to school, walking, cycling, but may be the only option. Requirement for children for public transport guidance on dedicated time to school transport vehicles, which I do like, gets college bus. School meals will be provided from the 31st of August. Bubbles. Most people should stay in their class groups. School day and not mixed pupils. Classes staggered starts and ends. School day, so parents are not dropping all children off at once. Staggered meal and break times. All children are not mixing in the playground with a lot of others at one time. School meals may have to be eaten in classrooms or even outside. One-way systems in corridors. Children may not be able to bring things home like books or stationery items and back to school. Items such as Lego or soft toys that are difficult to clean are likely to disappear from classes. Pupils in post-primary schools can use school every other week, while those in primary schools can attend 2 days a week. School Monday return in September. Pupils will return to school in late August. It's now compulsory to wear masks in shops and other public spaces in all line. Exemptions include staff and shops, children under 13, and those with an illness or impairment. School pupils. Monday. Think compulsory. Ask grammar school. Mandatory. For pupils and staff to wear face coverings when they return. They said if a pupil arrives without face masks, they will not be permitted to enter the classroom. Children. Coverings will only be worn by pupils and staff in the school building. It will not be a requirement for pupils to wear them when exercising in the playground or when eating at break time and lunchtime. Risk mitigations. Face coverings must be worn staff in adult-to-adult meetings. Face coverings are strongly encouraged for activities that entail large members of the students. Mandatory for pupils aged 13 and over to wear face covering on public transport. Strongly recommended that all pupils, regardless of age, should wear a face covering on all buses, trains or taxis for the journey to school where it's appropriate to do so. Some people, including children, are exempt from wearing face coverings. Staff and pupils wish to use face coverings during the school routine day, when they can. Secondary school students and teachers should wear face coverings when a distance of 2 meters cannot be maintained. Socks. Face coverings must be worn in socks. Wales does not recommend pupils wear face coverings in school. Wales up to £100. Face coverings also compulsory. Charities and post offices, place of worship, galleries, libraries and public space. Face coverings do not have to be worn. Practical to do so. Impractical. Restaurants, pubs and gyms. Dry cleaner. You are not currently compelled. 11. Unable to put one on. Course of stress. Eat, drink. Are your age? Young children do not wear them because of choking, strangulation. Face coverings are compulsory for anyone to buy public transport. From the 31st of August, young people over the age of 12 in secondary school should habitually be wearing face coverings when they're moving around schools and corridors and in communal areas where it's difficult to deliver their physical distancing. Young people return to Scotland schools early in August with no requirements for physical distancing between younger pupils and no rules around face coverings. New rules for school buses will apply to pupils over the age of 5 in line with guidelines for public transport. Staff and students can continue to wear face coverings in all settings voluntarily if they wish. Be necessary. Crowding. Exceptions. Scottish secondary school pupils will have to wear face coverings in corridors, common areas and school buses from next Monday. There will be no requirement to wear face coverings in classrooms where distancing measures are in place. 31st of August. Young people over the age of 12 in secondary schools should habitually be wearing face coverings when they're moving around schools and corridors and in communal areas where it's difficult to deliver the physical distancing. Young people return to Scotland's schools early in August, with no requirements for physical distancing between younger pupils and no rules around face coverings. The new rules apply for school buses will apply to pupils over the age of 5, in line with guidelines for public transport. Staff and students can continue to wear face coverings in all settings voluntarily if they wish. Lack of clarity. Teachers have complained about lack of clarity. Scotland secondary schools. Coverings will be used accordingly. Schools in England can have flexibility to allow masks if they were requested to. The use of face coverings in corridors, corners, and these schools is set to be introduced in Scotland. Mandatory in school transport, but not inside classrooms. The use of face coverings in schools is currently voluntary, although some schools started advising staff and pupils to wear them to help combat the spread of COVID. Young people return to Scotland schools early in August with no requirement for physical distancing between younger pupils and no rules around face coverings. Pupils in Scottish schools may have to wear face coverings in future. No evidence. Compulsory for pupils, particularly those in secondary schools, to wear face coverings in schools. Combating. Pupils and staff to wear face coverings to combat coronavirus. Children across Scotland are not currently required to wear masks in neither primary or high school. Said the advice could change for secondary school students in the near future. Children over the age of 12 should wear face masks. England does not recommend using face coverings in schools. Come on, exit. Oh, okay. Return the will. Present as well. Union. So yeah, doesn't look good. God, this video is long. Come on. Okay, here we go. I know. Wales announces review into face masks in schools hours after Scotland takes action. The Welsh Government is to review whether children should wear face coverings in schools after Scottish pupils were told to put masks in corridors. Early on Tuesday, Scottish Government revealed secondary school pupils in Scotland will have to wear face coverings while moving through corridors and other areas on Monday. Common areas on next Monday. All pupils over the age of 5 will also have to wear face masks on school buses in Scotland. Change face coverings in schools. There's no plans to change current advice in England, which states face masks are not recommended because pupils or staff are mixing in concerned groups. Possible future review of face masks. Advisor need to change advice accordingly rule. Coverings in schools, stays in schools. State guidance for Scottish schools will come to effect on Monday, 31st of August. Adults and pupils in schools, secondary schools, should wear face coverings when they're moving around school in areas where distancing is challenging, for example, through corridors or in communal spaces. And secondly, adults and children over the age of 5 and over. And secondly, adults and children aged 5 and over should wear face coverings on dedicated school transport. The WHO has advised children over 12 to wear face covering where they can't socially distance, and as more countries are introducing them in schools, corridors, and common areas, it's important the lessons are learned. So yeah, that's all I have to say. So bye.